Okay, so I saw Birds of Prey over the weekend, and it wasn't good at all. And the movie is bombing horribly. It was projected to do around 60 million domestic. It only made about 30 something million. And worldwide, it only made about 70 million on its $85 million budget. And you gotta double your budget to break even. So this movie has to make around like 250 million to break even, and it doesn't really look like that's going to happen. The empty seats in the theater were no joke. When I went to go see it, middle Saturday, good time for movies, nobody was there. I think it was like four people there total, including me. So, all those pictures of empty seats were not bullshitting. That's all legit. This movie was projected to make around 60 million. It only made 30 million. It's a huge bomb. They're saying it's not going to make as much as Green Lantern, and that movie was a disastrous bomb. So, yeah, I mean, they messed up big time with this movie. And I think a lot of people could see that from the trailers. I mean, even I was seeing that from the trailers, that it just wasn't going to be as good as past DC films, right? But as far as this movie making like 500 or 700 million, there's no way that's going to happen. They're actually changing the name of the movie to Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey instead of Birds of Prey and the Fabulous Emancipation of, some long subtitle that nobody wants to read, which was another dumb decision by Warner Brothers. And I think there's a lot of reasons why this movie is not doing good at all. And I think the agenda part, like a lot of people say this movie has an agenda, and if you watch the movie, it really doesn't. There's no agenda to it. I mean, people want to say it's like feminist propaganda because there's a bunch of females in it, but when you watch the film, it is kind of anti-feminist because Harley Quinn is still broken up about leaving Joker. Even though, he's an abusive, boyfriend, she's still broken up about it. She still loves Joker. That's not very feminist, but apparently that's the agenda of the movie, is that it's a feminist propaganda movie, but I get none of that from watching it. When I watch it, I just see a bad movie. It's just a bad movie, and I think that's why it's bombing right now, because nobody wants to go see it. They saw the trailers. They weren't interested. They didn't want to go see it. And the target demographic of this movie anyway is probably like high school kids, because that's the main audience that watched the first Suicide Squad movie, was mainly young people. And now that they made the movie rated R for no reason, there's no reason Birds of Prey should be rated R, by the way. Absolutely no reason. But it's rated R, so now you can't even get the younger people into the theaters. So they definitely fucked themselves with this. But I think the biggest problem with the movie has to be Margot Robbie. And I'm not talking about her acting. I think she actually plays Harley Quinn fine. It's fine. The real problem is that she had creative control over her character in this movie. And she wanted to make a movie starring her character. She didn't really give a fuck about any of the other characters. She just wanted to make sure her Harley Quinn got over. And that's where the movie probably started to fall apart behind the scenes, right? This isn't a director-driven film. This is a Margot Robbie-driven film. This was her pet project. She's one of the main producers on the film, too. And this is what she wanted to do. She doesn't know anything about these characters as far as like the comics go. She just wanted to make a movie starring Harley Quinn. But let's talk about the movie a little bit, since I spent like the first few minutes talking about the box office and whatnot and how disastrous it is for this movie. Let's actually talk about the movie. And there's going to be spoilers in this, so click off now. You don't want to hear it. But I walked out of this movie. Spoiler alert. I walked out of this movie when Black Mask got blown up. Literally, he got blown up by a grenade. And then I walked out. I did not want to see the last 5-10 minutes. I was done. Because it was just a huge insult to my comic book brain that I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I just left. Because up to that point, a Black Mask was my favorite part of the film. Like that, he was the draw of the film. Ewan McGregor does great as Black Mask. I love his performance. I think it's actually a really good take on Black Mask. He's really flamboyant. He loves violence, and he's kind of a germaphobe. There's a scene in the movie where he's peeling faces off people's heads with the help of Victor Zsasz, who's also actually pretty good in this movie. But he's peeling these faces, and then one of them gets a snot bubble, and he was about to let her go, and then he's like, I changed my mind, kill her, because he doesn't like the snot bubble. I think that shit is brilliant for Black Mask. I think that is exactly what the character needs to be. And then you actually see his mood swings later in the movie. There's another scene where, he's getting super angry at some random person in his club because they were snickering at some joke and he thought they were laughing at him, so he gets like really angry. I mean, all that stuff was really good. Black Mask was well realized. I love the new take on him. The problem is, the problem is that he doesn't quite become Black Mask. And if you're fans of the comics, if you're aware of this character in the comics, then you already know what I'm talking about. And that's the mask actually melting to his face. See, the Roman Sionis I know from the comic books is a, crazed, bipolar, rageaholic who's also, very wealthy and he owns a lot of the city, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that identifies him as Black Mask is his mask. And the story of the mask is just as interesting as his character. Yet we get none of that in Birds of Prey. It would have been just a nice throwaway line to know where he got his black mask, because that's what's super interesting about his character. He carves his mask out of his father's coffin, his black coffin. That's where he gets the fucking mask. That would have been a cool detail for them to bring up in the movie if they actually cared about, getting these characters right? That's a pretty character-defining thing for somebody, right? But what's also like the big character-defining thing for Black Mask is seeing the mask melt to his face. Because that's what he becomes in the books. This mask will melt to his face, and then he's always going to be Black Mask. That's the tragic irony of his character, that he will always be Black Mask. And the mask melting to his face is just his real identity being revealed, right? So all that is completely thrown away. You don't get any of that in the movie. Instead, you get, a cool take on Black Mask, and they just kill him in the end, and it doesn't matter. They do the same thing with Victor Zsasz. Victor Zsasz, I like the new take on him. I actually think it could work well. Like, he could become crazier and crazier, but that doesn't happen. They just kill him near the end of the movie. So you get rid of two big Batman villains that could show up in a Batman film, but I guess they won't now, mainly because this Birds of Prey movie is it. There's not going to be any sequels to it. Oh, obviously now, because of how much it's bombing. There's going to be no sequels to this movie. Ben Affleck's Batman is done being Batman, so there's not going to be a Batman in this universe with Harley Quinn. At least this Margot Robbie Harley Quinn. There's not going to be a Batman movie attached to this, so I guess you could do whatever the fuck you want with the characters, because they ain't continuing past this movie. But still, when it comes to, comic book fan like me, that's something that totally turns me off. Like, you can't even get a little detail like that right. Like, why is this movie rated R? That's why I thought it was rated R, because we were going to see something horrific like that happen on screen. But instead, we get a few fuck yous. We get a few fuck lines in the movie. And that's it. That's why it's rated R. I mean, they break a few legs in the movie, but it's nothing that's too disturbing because they're actually making a joke about it as they're, like, breaking people's legs. So there's nothing rated R about it, really. There's not even that much blood, now that I think about it. So if the people making this movie had any sense, they probably would just got rid of some fuck yous and, got rid of those lines, and then the movie would have been rated PG-13. And they probably would have made a few more bucks. Probably not that much, but at least a little bit more. But let's talk about the other Birds of Prey for a second. I just talked about the villains, so let's talk about the Birds of Prey. Huntress is completely useless. She shows up near the end. She's in the movie for a grand total of 15 minutes. You never really know anything about her besides what's shown to you in flashbacks. Lots of flashbacks in this movie. And that was a very annoying part about the movie, was the fact that they would, start in the middle of something. Like, it would be the middle of a scene, and then Harley Quinn would go, "Let me tell you how we got here." And they would do that like 3 times, like in the first half of the movie. And to me, that's really lazy storytelling. Like, extremely lazy to have voiceover throughout, like, the first half of the movie, but not the second half. It's just mainly like the first half of the movie. You get Harley Quinn narrating everything because they didn't know how to start the movie and they needed a quick fix, and that's what narration does. Because, as far as films go, narration is actually very tacky. It's not something, good films do, because if you're a good film, you could tell the story with the visuals and you don't need narration. You don't need a shit ton of dialogue because we're seeing what's happening. So we don't need something constantly explained to us. So that's like a big, filmmaking flaw with the movie that really, was Not a good way to start the film, right? Definitely not a good way to start the film. It just screams laziness when you hear all these voiceovers. But other than that, Huntress was useless. Renee Montoya, the detective, she did not need to be in this movie at all. At all. There's no point why she's in this movie. We're supposed to feel bad that she's like an experienced detective that, is not allowed to be captain yet for some, we're going to say systematic reasons. But then you see her in the captain's office wearing a stupid shirt that says, "I shaved my balls for this." Like a really immature, stupid shirt that she's just wearing in the captain's office, right? You know how they say dress for the job you want? Well, clearly Renee Montoya isn't doing that. And, what are we supposed to think as an audience? What are we supposed to think about that? She's wearing this shitty shirt. Are we supposed to think, oh yeah, she definitely deserves the job now? It's like, no, like we see her wearing that and we're going to think she's an immature person that doesn't deserve the job, right? So it really hurts that she's wearing that shirt for her character. I don't know if that was her idea to wear that dumb shirt, but she should have just been in her work clothes. Like, you literally see her walk into the police precinct in her work clothes, and then the very next scene, she's wearing this dumb, I shaved my balls for this shirt. Like, that's what she's wearing in the next scene. We never see her put the shirt on. We never see where she got the shirt from. It's just there. And it doesn't do a good job of representing her character. And she really is completely useless in this film. She does nothing. Nothing. Like, nothing she does matters. So why is she in this? It's very confusing. Cassandra Cain's just a pickpocketing kid in this movie. No connection to the Bat family. Same thing with Huntress. No connection to the Bat family at all. They're just there. It's just like, oh, it's frustrating. It's so frustrating that you use all these comic book characters, but you're not gonna, use anything from the comics. It's fucking wild. Like, you think they would have learned their lesson by now. Like, Suicide Squad was more accurate to the comic books than this. Like, I think that's where, a lot of my frustration's coming from. It's just like, you don't have to be a comic book genius to get some of this stuff, but, can we please have some resemblance to the comics? A little bit? That's why I liked Aquaman so much. Because, despite what anybody wants to think about that movie, it's very accurate to Aquaman. It's very accurate to that comic book series. At least they get that right. But characters like Black Canary, you wouldn't know they're Black Canary unless somebody said Black Canary. You wouldn't know that that's the same character because they're so different. And it's never explained why Black Canary's in Gotham City. So you're just going to have to imagine a fucking theory for that because the movie doesn't tell you anything about that. You see her use her sonic screech once at near the end, and she passes out. It took a lot out of her to do that. And I'm like, what the hell? Do you have superpowers or not? Why aren't you using your superpowers more? Do you pass out every time you use your sonic voice? That's kind of annoying. Why? But what's more frustrating is that I like the actors they use for, Black Canary and Huntress. Even Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I like these actors in these roles, but the movie's just so poorly written and it has no resemblance to the comics that they just waste it. They're wasting all these actors' time. All their time is just being wasted with this movie. But let's talk a little bit about Harley Quinn. This is her emancipation from the Joker. She's splitting up with the Joker, but she still wants to get with him, essentially, because Harley Quinn's a crazy criminal. Not that likable. The only people that really like Harley Quinn are teenage emo goth girls. Those are the only people that really love Harley Quinn. And it shows in the box office because nobody went to go see this movie. If Harley Quinn was really that popular, this movie would have made more money. But I think the reason why Suicide Squad was popular was not because of Harley Quinn. It was because Joker was in the movie and everybody knew Joker was in the movie and everybody wanted to see Joker. That's why the movie made money. The same thing with the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. Everybody went to go see it because it's a movie about Joker. They didn't see the movie because it's a comic book film. They saw it because one of the most popular DC characters ever is in his own solo film. That's why people went to go see Joker initially. And then, word of mouth spreads and it's a huge masterpiece. So everybody wants to go see it. But the initial people that went to go see Joker went to go see it because Joker was in it. Joker is top 3 as far as most popular characters in DC. It goes Superman, Batman, Joker. So not having him in Birds of Prey was a huge hit to the movie because that would have made more sense if she was actually fighting against Joker the whole movie, to get away from him. Like, that would have been more interesting. Instead, we have Black Mask, who only wants to kill Harley just cause. Just cause she's not with Joker anymore. Now he wants to kill her. It's very weak plot setup. It's very weak story here. And the movie really shouldn't be called Birds of Prey. And that they have no faith in it because they're already changing the movie title. Like, if you look at your movie showing times, they will be changing the name of the movie. It says Birds of Prey, the emancipation of Harley Quinn right now, but it's going to be changed to Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey. That's what it's going to be changed to, and that's probably what it should have been the whole time. I just want to drop the Birds of Prey thing entirely, because who the fuck cares about Birds of Prey? Clearly nobody, because nobody went to go see this movie. So yeah, a lot of mistakes were made. Harley Quinn in the movie, yeah, she acts like Harley Quinn. That's about as much as you're going to get. The action scenes are nothing spectacular either. Like, people said, oh, John Wick, the guy who directed John Wick is directing the action scenes in this. It's going to be great. Nope. Nope, that's not the case at all. These action scenes are very simple and not that exciting. Like, the last action scene where they're, like, spinning on this thing in Amusement Mile, which is kind of cool. They actually use, Founders Pier and Amusement Mile in this movie. You actually go to those places. That's pretty cool. Too bad Joker's not there. Why isn't Joker at Amusement Mile? Where is Joker? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, where is she? She blew up Ace Chemical to start the movie. So Joker's not there. So his other hangout spot is Amusement Mile. So why isn't he there? Like, the movie just makes little to no sense. But yeah, the action scenes are nothing that special at all. It almost reminds me of the Rey and Kylo fight in Last Jedi when they're fighting in the throne room. It reminds me of that a lot. The last action scene in Birds of Prey. It's almost like the same thing, really. You get a lot of people swinging and missing. They're not actually hitting each other. And that's painful to see in a movie because it's a movie. Like, edit it so it looks like they're actually hitting each other. That would be nice. But yeah, I was thoroughly disappointed by this movie, if you couldn't tell by this review. I'm glad it's bombing. I'm glad Ben Affleck is out as Batman, and we never have to see that Batman with this Birds of Prey or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I'm glad it's just done, and we're getting Robert Pattinson's Batman, and we can move on, like I'm done with how they're treating these characters in this form. Like, I thought they were gonna go the reverse way after Suicide Squad, because Suicide Squad had some good moments, some character accurate moments, and I thought they were just going to lean into that more. I thought they were going to go deeper into, like, what makes these characters, but instead they just make their own fucking movie with Birds of Prey that has nothing to do with anything, and it's just a fucking side project for Margot Robbie and her vanity. That's all this movie is just for her vanity, and she's not even that talented. Yeah, she's a good actress. She can't put a story together. She can't put a film together, clearly. Look at Birds of Prey. This is a disaster on epic proportions. Nobody will remember this movie in a few months. It reminded me a lot of a Marvel film. Like, no one's going to remember this shit. No one's going to care about this movie like 2 or 3 months from now. More people care about the Snyder Cut than they actually care about Birds of Prey right now. So that should tell you everything you need to know. But yeah, what should I score this film? I probably would score it like a 4 or 5 out of 10. A light 4. That's what I would score it. It's nothing that good. The only good parts from the movie are Black Mask and Victor Zsasz, and then they get killed. So I have to, I can't really give it credit because they killed them. It just sucks. It really felt like a formulaic Marvel film. It really did. And nothing about it felt DC. Nothing about it felt comic booky. It just felt like a dumb action film. And it's really shocking that it has the critical score it does. Unlike Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, like, I can't imagine why people are giving this movie positive scores. Like, I just can't imagine why. All the films that come out and you're going to give positive scores to this one. Like, why? I don't understand. A lot of people say there's some agenda with the film because Ewan McGregor said some, feminist thing on a talk show nobody watches. So clearly that had a huge impact on ticket sales. I swear to God, people will reach for any narrative right now. But the fact is, the movie's not doing good because it's a bad movie. And it shouldn't do good because it's a bad movie. And I think people saw through the trailers and they saw through it. Like, the movie never looked that good. This movie was made in the aftermath of Justice League, you know, when they were greenlighting Shazam and stuff like that. So this movie was made in like the new direction phase of DC. And it clearly shows because they don't know what fucking direction they're going with this movie. But anyway, that's it for now. This has been a long ass review. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. Comment below. Let me know in what ways Birds of Prey disappointed you. If you like the movie, go find a Reddit page where other people that like it. Alright? That's it for now. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.
I think it's great because it's so bad.